Hi everyone, my name is Merelyn, and what if I told you guys that you could talk to animals? Maybe not all animals, but at least a specific gorilla. So the purpose of my speech today is to inform you guys of a gorilla who can communicate using sign language and what this reveals about animal emotion. So first, I'm going to talk about who this gorilla is and how she learned sign language. Second, I will talk about how she uses ASL to communicate. And then I will end with how she shows that animals share the same emotions as humans do. So, I'll begin with talking about who this gorilla is and how she learned American Sign Language. So, according to the Gorilla Foundation, this little gorilla is a female, and her name is Coco, and she was born on July 4th, 1971 in the San Francisco Zoo. Penny Peterson at the time was a grad student at Stanford University, and she wanted to make her thesis about communicating with animals using sign language. So at the age of 1, she started working with Coco the gorilla, and by the time that he was 2, she was able to communicate basic sign language, such as over here signing here, and up there signing eat. And a few years later, now Dr. Peterson gained custody of Coco, and she became the primary founder of the Gorilla Foundation that raises awareness of the endangerment of apes. Now Coco is a lot older, and she knows over 2,000 different terms in ASL, which is a lot more than I know. Now that I've talked about how Coco learned ASL, I'll now talk about how Coco uses it to communicate her thoughts. So, in 2004, Coco went to her caregivers and actually said that her teeth hurt and that she needed to see the dentist and use that sign to inform her caregivers that she was hurt. So because she was able to use ASL, she was able to tell her caregivers the second that the tooth hurt, and she was able to go to a dentist and get those teeth removed. And according to the National Geographic, in 1984, Coco was very obsessed with looking at picture books, and she liked looking through them, especially ones with kittens in them, and her favorite was Puss in Boots. So for that Christmas, she requested to have her own personal kitten. And Dr. Peterson didn't know if that would be a really good idea to give an ape a kitten, so they gave her a stuffed kitten instead. Coco knew the difference immediately, and she would sign that she was sad, it's not real, and for her birthday the next year, they ended up bringing a whole litter of kittens to Coco, and she got to pick her own kitten companion. And as you can see in this photo, this is the kitten she chose, a little gray one, and she named it herself, and she named it All Ball because it reminded her of her favorite little ball. And this picture was also on the cover of that National Geographic magazine, and it won Best Photo of the Year. So that's yeah. Now that I've talked about how Coco uses ASL to communicate her thoughts, I will now talk about how she proves that animals can share the same emotions that humans do. So, unfortunately, a few months after she received this kitten, the kitten ended up running away from the ape sanctuary, and she was hit by a truck and killed instantly. The caregivers didn't know exactly what to do, so they went to Coco and they told her that the kitten was gone and that it wouldn't be coming back, and that something sad had happened to it. And for 10 minutes, Coco didn't respond, and they weren't sure if she understood what had exactly happened. And then after those 10 minutes passed, Coco ended up signing over here saying bad, cry, trouble, and she understood that her kitten was gone. And then after a few hours of crying, she ended up saying, kitten, sleep. So she understood that the kitten was gone and wouldn't be coming back. And according to the LA Times, it turned out that she went into a deep depression because she was upset that this kitten was gone. So they brought in Robin Williams, one of her favorite actors, and they actually got to communicate, and he lifted up her spirits very well. As you can see in this little gif over here, they were tickling each other and they were communicating with one another, and that really showed that Coco needed to have her spirits lifted and that the kitten really did have an effect on her. In conclusion, the purpose of my speech today was to inform you guys of how Coco uses American Sign Language to communicate and what this reveals about animal emotion. First, I talked about who Coco exactly is and how she learned ASL. Then I talked about how Coco uses ASL to communicate, and then I talked about how Coco shows that animals share the same emotions that humans do. I'd like to leave you guys with the fact that gorillas are becoming extremely endangered, and as Jay Goodall said, there are so many ways in which we are destroying the planet, and once we understand once we care, then we have to do something. Thank you.